you intend to continue selling products that benefit yourself personally while you're president?
Well, I don't know if it benefited. I don't know where it is. I don't know much about it other than I launched it. I heard it was very successful. I haven't checked it. Where is it today?
Hey, you made a lot of money, sir.
How much?
Several $billion, it seems like, in the last several days.
Several billion? That's peanuts for these guys.
Are you tracking what's being planned and announced in person here, right? The U.S. government handing billions of dollars into the pockets of rich crypto holders?
It wouldn't be a Trump presidency without the type of scandal that you would think would be an impeachable offense coming within the first 2 weeks.
Who knows? Maybe we'll pay off our $35 trillion, hand him a little crypto check, right? We'll hand him a little Bitcoin and wipe out our $35 trillion.
The grift is in and the corruption is hard to imagine. Now, we have an announcement from Trump. This is what his plan is. As we know, Trump Media owns Truth Social, and Truth Social hasn't been making a lot of money. So Trump Media has decided to make money off of him being president. And their plan is to issue 3 new ETFs. One of them has to do with Bitcoin, and we're going to talk in a little bit about all his plans for crypto. The other 2 have to do with his policies. One is going to call America First, Made in America. The other one, energy independence. All his drill baby drill, trying to drill in our natural resources. Well, he's going to try to directly profit from them. So here you have a situation where a company majority owned by the president is going to profit directly by the policies that he puts forward and regulated by the SEC, the person that he appoints. A level of corruption. Do you think he's going to put forth policies that benefit you, the American worker, or benefit him as majority owner of this company? So, as we know, the SEC regulates quite a bit public companies, and usually when a majority shareholder, the CEO, the board says something that influences or is about that company, they are regulated. In 2018, Elon Musk had to pay a fine to the SEC because he said that he was going to take Tesla private. And you can't just say those things because the public basically has to be able to rely on information when they decide to buy or sell public companies. That is an obligation of a public company, is being able to have fair and accurate information to the public. I was a corporate transactional attorney. That's what we did. A company can't even issue a press release without also filing that press release with the SEC. That's how regulated it is. Now, Trump evidently has put his shares in trust for his son to manage. Is the SEC going to now think that's enough and he's going to let him say whatever he wants to influence the public to buy his ETFs? As you know, the people regulating this, Paul Atkins, who he has decided to nominate to the SEC, is somebody he has chosen to the SEC. This is called no oversight. This is called zero oversight. And this is where we're at. For the American workers to ask, is that policy for me, or is this policy for your pocketbook?
So for very understandable reasons, Democrats and Democratic regulators have worked hard to keep crypto, which has been supremely volatile, blocked off from the rest of financial systems, so that if it crashes, it doesn't bring the entire U.S. economy down with it, requiring a bailout. Some rich people holding a lot of crypto disagree with that strategy. They want a bailout, implicit or explicit, if the house of cards comes crashing down. To that end, after Republicans took back the Senate with the help of money from the crypto industry, they now have a plan to return the favor. And I want you to listen to this part because no one's really talking about this, but the elements of the plot are just there in plain sight. Senate Republicans are working on a bill that would transfer billions and billions of dollars of money from the U.S. government, from taxpayers, and hand it over to a handful of big crypto holders.
We got a president for President Donald Trump. Here it is. This is the Bitcoin Reserve Bill in the Senate of the United States. to establish a Bitcoin strategic reserve, a network of secure storage vaults, purchase program, and other programs to ensure the transparent management of Bitcoin holdings of the federal government.
Yes, the Bitcoin Act from Republican Senator Cynthia Lummis of Wyoming, it would establish a Federal Reserve of Bitcoin. It's truly one of the most audacious schemes I've ever seen in Congress. Here's why. Rich folks who own a lot of crypto have a problem, right? Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin in particular, is a very valuable asset. Single Bitcoin worth over 100 grand. Some very, very wealthy people own hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. David Sachs, for instance, has a lot of crypto. That said, it's not a liquid asset like cash that you can easily spend or invest or use for practical purposes. It has no practical use really outside of a few gimmicks, and it's very useful for criminal cartels. So if you're an investor, you're sitting on this speculative asset. You can't actually do anything with it, but it's worth a lot of money. What's more, if you try to sell it all off, right, to get rid of it, the hordes of Bitcoin on the exchanges, that's going to flood the market and tank the price.
It's not a surprise that Trump appointed as an SEC head Paul Atkins, who is very pro-crypto, as Trump himself is heavily vested in the outcome of crypto. As we know, he has partnered with the World Liberty Finance regarding crypto. He has his meme out. And then the latest is this new ETF Bitcoin related to his Trump media that is going to make money related to Bitcoin. So it should also not be a surprise that what else came out this week was the fact that now the people that he is appointing to oversight and for finance want the country to buy basically Bitcoin in order to create stablecoin, to have the United States pour money into Bitcoin, which would directly, sure, it might help some people who do own Bitcoin or want to get into Bitcoin, but it is going to enormously help Trump, who is putting out this Bitcoin ETF, who is involved in cryptocurrency in many big ways with his partnership with Liberty Financial, with his meme. And the problem, of course, with all of this, I mean, it may not be a bad thing for the United States to invest in cryptocurrency, but he's also appointing people who are not going to give us confidence that they are going to regulate this. The whole reason why we have the SEC is because of the depression and the stock market crash, where there was no checks and balances in terms of what companies could do with the money if you invested in them and what they had to tell people or not tell people about the investment that you made. Do you really want your savings to be involved in an investment with Bitcoin, a cryptocurrency, without any assurance that those companies have satisfied regulations that will keep your investment safe? Because as we know with Trump, it's not about your investment. It's about him making money. And your investment and him making money aren't always going to be aligned. And he's the one who's going to appoint somebody to decide whether or not your interests or his interests are more important. Take a little bit more of a look at Chris Hayes as he lays out this conflict.
So what's the solution? They're going to sell it to the U.S. government.
Over 5 years, the United States will assemble 1 million Bitcoin, 5% of the world's supply, and it will be held for a minimum of 20 years and can be used for one purpose: reduce our debt.
Reduce our debt? You can't pay the debt down in Bitcoin. Are you tracking this? Are you tracking what's being planned and announced in person here, right? The U.S. government handing billions of dollars into the pockets of rich crypto holders? The plan is that the Bitcoin Act would have the government sell off some of its gold reserves, you know, the stuff from Fort Knox, and use the money to buy 1 billion Bitcoin. At current market value, that would cost $100 billion. Now, the actual price would likely be much higher because that market value would almost certainly rise as a result when a new buyer enters the market and boosts the price of the asset the buyer is now legally obligated to buy. This is an enormous heist. They're just backing the truck up to the government in front of all of us. A massive bailout to the crypto world. The opportunity to turn a speculative asset into real cash on your dime. And presumably David Sachs, as the crypto czar, will help usher that plan through. And there is a real irony here. For a long time, as long as I've been covering crypto, which is over a decade, advocates have sold crypto as this libertarian project, right? We don't need government. We don't need banks. We don't need financial intermediaries. We don't need regulation. Here's Sachs himself making that point on a podcast 2 years ago.
There is a huge risk of currency debasement when the government is in control, and particularly when you have the world's reserve currency. There's just such an enormous temptation to print money to finance your budget and to rack up loans that become unpayable. What Bitcoin offers is a different kind of currency where it's not backed by a government, it's backed by math, it's backed by encryption. And so you don't have to trust the government.
All that lofty rhetoric goes right out the window, though, when Republicans decide they want the government to initiate a massive upward transfer of wealth and bail out the crypto industry.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.